Welcome back to another episode with Just Vanning It. In this week's episode, we're going to chat to you about our favourite experiences over the past 3.5 years of travelling around Australia and on the Big Lap, and hopefully it'll give you some insights in what you should see and do on the Big Lap.
Let's jump into it.
Proudly brought to you by Icheck tpms. Alright, so we'd like to start by saying
Hi, welcome. Hope you're all all well and having a fantastic week.
right. But thank you, love. That's very nice of you. Yes.
We're coming to you from a very hot, windy Gibb River Road.
Yes, we are. Bobby's not inside. Bobby's in a bit of
He's in the naughty corner.
He's in the naughty corner because they let your dogs off leash in this park, which is great. And he's been really, really good. But I literally looked up, I'm like, where's Bobby? Old mate's taken himself down to the beach for a bit of a dip in the rock pool, which wouldn't be an issue if there weren't crocs, but they're crocs. So we're failing at parenting. And it just goes as a reminder, if you do have a dog, or children for that instance, just keep an eye on them, because you take your eye off them for two seconds and they're gone. All right. Let me start by saying, first of all, we are really, just the fact that we're able to travel, irrelevant of destination and where we go, like the experience of traveling itself is superb. But we've been lucky enough to experience some really incredible things in our 3.5 years.
Some of these are paid for, and some of these are just destinations, really.
Yeah. So the first one, and it's really interesting, this one, because when Derek said we were going here, my response was not interested, just not interested. So it was our first inland camp. I'm definitely a coastal person, and Derek said we're heading off to the Flinders Ranges.
Why? It was winter in South Australia in our first year, and it was that cold. I just said to Sue, we have to start heading north because we couldn't get in WA because of COVID. And I'd heard about this place and,
So we headed off to the Flinders Ranges, and I thought it would be nothing but really freezing cold weather, a bit of dirt, maybe some good views, but wasn't very keen on it. Anyway, we got there. It was freezing cold. We stayed in a place called Willow Springs. Nice big campsites. They had a huge fireplace that you could or fire pit that you could sit around in the evenings, and we essentially
reminded me of like you see on the American when they go on their school camps, and it was big area, big log to sit along, and this is your own caravan site, big log that you could sit on, have your own fire, camp kitchen, just that sort of rustic, nice sort of camping feel.
In the ranges.
In the ranges, yeah.
The views were beautiful. The Flinders were beautiful. We did a little bit of a sort of drive through the actual campsite, which was meant to be a bit of a 4x4 drive. Exceptional.
Sunset. Oh.
Beautiful. It was freezing, but it was so nice to be able to sit around a huge fire at night and just chat.
The daytime temperatures were okay. The evenings just dropped really low, which we knew. It was winter. But, sleep well, and then during the day you could possibly take a flannel off, and it was really, really nice. The views, like Sue said, the camps, and then we actually camped around the back of the Flinders, and there's some free camps there in
Parachulnet Gorge.
Yeah, because back when we first started, there was no such thing as Starling, so it's one we actually want to return to one day, if we ever get the chance to.
Yeah.
Because we have the Starlink now, and it gives us a bit more flexibility of where we can camp.
Yeah, and the gorge itself was beautiful. We were parked up on this little almost dry riverbed, and there was just sort of a big range directly behind us, free firewood, absolutely superb.
Great. So moving up from Flinders Ranges, we got an opportunity to explore Ayers Rock,
which is in Uluru.
And COVID had just hit. Unfortunately, there were no camel rides or the segways, and you can't climb the rock anymore. But I'd heard and seen on Instagram and social media and movies and blah 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 that this place blew my mind.
Yeah.
Um,
There was just something really magical about it. The actual colour that comes off the rock at a sunset is
Sunrise.
absolutely superb.
It's amazing. Like, and then you've also got I think
The alders.
the alders on the other side, which are just as amazing. We could actually walk. We walked up to one of the sort of between them, and it was just incredible. Like, if you get a chance, go and see it. And if you know, it's
as far as I'm
definitely
concerned,
a
it's
must
like one
to
of
do.
the world's wonders.
It's incredible how it's just there, and it's bigger than I thought too. So definitely worth it. We managed to find a dog sitter at the time in Uluru. But like we said, it was COVID, so there was only the IGA was open. So, and then moving on from there, Kings Canyon.
Yeah, Kings Canyon was pretty spectacular. It's probably like the first big hike we went on. You know, we're
No,
not
we're
hiking
not
people.
hikers. We met these awesome people in the Uluru Caravan Park there. I think we stayed at. They're all good friends of ours today, and we said we're going to try and do this Kings Canyon loop walk.
So the first part about Kings Canyon, they call it Heart Attack Hill. It's like 500, so I don't know if it's exactly 500, but it stairs directly up, and I didn't think I was going to make it past that point. Derek is terrified of heights and didn't think he was going to make it past the first ledge. But fortunately, the two thirsty travellers were with us, and they
Chris
sort
and
of
Carla.
motivated us and encouraged us to go. And what an experience.
Well, you know, they say it takes about 6 hours to do it, and we did it in 4.5 hours. And we we were filming at that time and taking photos, and it was just incredible, the views. And then you come down the other side, and then, yeah, it definitely something.
It's because I'm such an athlete.
Next one, we jump over to the east coast, Magnetic Island. Now, this is just after our car broke down.
Yeah. So we were feeling pretty low,
And yeah.
managed to book ourselves a day trip.
Yeah. I had organised something behind closed doors for some transportation on Magnetic Island. It was 2 scooters, and I've never ridden a bike before, and it started raining as well. But I felt like Dumb and Dumber on those things.
They were 2 bright yellow scooters.
Called Mac and Cheese.
Mac and cheese. And we scooted around the island on these scooters in the rain. It was just the most bizarre experiences.
It was absolutely amazing. Same thing, got Sophie a dog sitter, and after everything that was going on, just to be able to get out, and I can't remember the cost. It's over 3 years ago we did it, but you get the ferry over to Magnetic Island from Townsville. We hired the bikes, we drove around. I thought the island was bigger to drive around on the bikes on, but it's not really. So I think it's like Horseshoe Valley to the other side. So we ended up just scootering around and enjoying it. I think I filled up the tanks on the bikes at the end. It was like $5.70 for both bikes.
But I
the
do
whole
think
day.
it was the bikes that made the experience
Oh,
for us.
definitely. I was going up this hill. They're very slow, like you like "Wah," in the rain. And I got this piss pot helmet on. It was just absolutely amazing. So there you go. If you're ever in Townsville, I suggest you do go over and check it out.
Beautiful beaches and beautiful views. The next one was actually in the Northern Territories, and it was one I had absolutely no idea about. I thought we were going down to the waterfront just for a drink, and Derek had actually booked a sunset cruise. So this is obviously a paid experience. I don't think it was too unreasonable in terms of cost.
Back then, also 3 years ago, I think I paid $240 for the 2 of us.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 hours on the boat, unlimited champagne they have on the boat, or you could take your own beers on the boat, and unlimited, what do you call those? Snacks.
There were snacks, and the snacks were really good, but can I just say, did you say unlimited champagne?
Yeah, all of
It's probably why it was one of my favourite experiences. I put my hand up, I did have a little bit too much champagne.
Beautiful catamaran around the front of is it Mindle Beach?
Middle beach markets.
Yeah, where everyone watches the sun go down up in Darwin. You're actually sitting on the boat up the front, in the front of it, and weather was just amazing.
So romantic.
Top experience, I've got to say, when you're up there.
And again, because you know I love water, another fantastic experience for us was in far north Queensland, and it was actually a trip out to Whitehaven Beach. So it was a booked day trip. We went on one of those, what do they call those big speedboats?
I don't know. It had like, I don't know, 3 or 4 outboard motors on it. And it was quite nippy and fast. And
Nippy and fast. It was crazy fast.
it was absolutely amazing.
Literally, you get drenched by the water. It was really, really cool. So that was fun. But the actual Whitehaven Beach itself as well.
Yeah, the weather didn't quite play in our favour when we were there, because the snorkeling was involved with it. And you go snorkeling first, then Whitehaven Beach, they put lunch on there. It was like salad rolls and stuff like that. And then we went around through past Hamilton Island and all that, down to another island where you had a cocktail. This was all included in the, and the weather, yeah, it was a bit average. The snorkeling, it was overcast, so the water wasn't clear. We got to Whitehaven Beach and the wind was blowing, and it made the ride back pretty wild and wet. They actually asked us all to sit to the back of the boat, but once we got around to the cocktail, where we had the cocktail, that was pretty cool. And then it's just a nip around into Ellie, so it's a full day. I just wish I could remember how much it cost.
That's right.
I can't remember. I think it was also like that, $240 for the whole day, and that included the snorkeling. We had stinger suits supplied and everything. So amazing.
And given that the weather was average, we can just imagine how incredible it would be on a day where the sun was shining. But even given the day was average weather-wise, it was still one that really sticks out in my mind. Derek's going to talk about the next one because it's not really my business. In fact, I didn't spend any time in the car. I was recording the entire time we were there, but this was probably, if not the top experience we've had.
Yeah, this was unreal. We did the old Telegraph Track. So part of Cape York, you can either just drive up to the tip and go do the tip, or you can drive and leave your van and do the 4-wheel drive tracks. We did it last year with a group of people that it could not have been any better. Like, it was that good. I was very unexperienced 4-wheel driver, really. I'd driven on the beach and sort of around Brizzy and that, but nothing to that extent. And we all came out on the other side, and it was absolutely amazing. People teaching you how and what your car can actually do. And then you got the fresh creeks that we swam in, fruit bat falls. It was just, the only thing that I would say that I would top that is if I could do it again.
Yeah.
And do it with a swag. You can actually camp on the old Telegraph Track, because some of those creeks that you could just sit, because we stopped at some of those creeks just for lunch and a swim, where you could pull up at halfway through the day and just go, yep, I'm just going to sit here tonight and say good, wave the guys by and swim in the creek, because it was probably as hot up the Cape as it is now, because we're sort of doing the same thing.
So the actual obstacles were incredible doing those, and you did such a good job. I mean, Danny and Simon, who navigated everyone through them safely, are incredible, because we all did get through safely. I sort of watched, in fact, I wasn't in the car for any of those obstacles. I was recording outside the car to see it from outside, what the vehicle was capable of doing, what Derek achieved, incredible. But I do have to say, I agree with you. It's actually the water holes and the destinations you go to. You don't realize it because you think you're doing a 4x4 obstacle course, but it's actually the water holes. And as Derek said, if we could have camped over there, man, I probably would have camped at like 4 or 5 of them. They were that good. That good. So highly recommended. If you're brave enough and you're in a group that can get you across safely, definitely.
Normally I would say there are chicken tracks, but I've been watching some this year, and the chicken tracks are really torn up, and I wouldn't say if you weren't comfortable to do it. But also, what people do, if you don't want to do the OTTs, you park at Bramwell Station, you drive through to the first obstacle is Pine Creek, and people just sit there for the day and watch people go through and help where they can, and just, I don't know, a bit of entertainment, and then they go back to Bramwell, and then they drive around to, I think it's Gunshot, where you can actually access it in from a different road, and then they sit there and watch, and then they leave, and then Nolan's, you can actually come in on around the top end.
Nolan's was superb.
And you can just sit, and when we crossed Nolan's, there was like a stadium of people there.
Everyone was out on their deck chairs.
You didn't want to sink the car. But my highlight of the trip obviously would be that, and just the people we did it made it extremely exciting and just fun. So, next one. This one is sort of free.
Excuse you.
Because it includes the campsite, is Bitter Springs and Mataranka up the NT. We've gone past this place so many times. Yep. We've stayed there twice, but when we're passing by, you can actually pull up and take a walk down into Mataranka and have a swim, or you can go into the Bitter Springs one and you can have a swim. Bitter Springs is a bit more natural. But apparently there was a croc sighting this year in it. It does give you a little bit of a wary feel.
It does give you a bit of a crocky feel.
Yeah.
But the best thing about Bitter Springs is if you jump in at Bitter Springs, you can actually float all the way down with the current.
Like on a noodle or a floaty.
Or if you're a natural floater like me, you can just float naturally.
Where Mataranka is a bit more, I think it's like homemade thing, but it's still spring water.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. I do believe Mr. Whoopi, his show has moved from Mataranka now to the showgrounds in Mataranka, I believe. I don't know how true that is, but someone was saying that, because we're actually going to go down the middle very shortly, and we both said that, like, oh, we'll stop at Mataranka because, you know, you can have a nice swim there, and the temperature's good. It's got that bush sort of feel campground. The pub's alright. That's where Mr. Whoopi used to be.
And his show was incredible as well.
Incredible. So I don't know how true that is, but I saw someone's story the other day and it didn't look like it was at Mataranka, so better check that. But anyway, yeah. So that is amazing. And Catherine also have a pool, but we found that Mataranka and Bitter Springs was definitely the ones. I mean, you can't go up the centre and not stop there. It's beautiful.
Yeah. The next one I think you can do as well. Coffin Bay National Park, because you're really passionate about Coffin Bay National Park.
Sue's pulling my. She's just choosing what she wants to do, and she's throwing me under the bus here. No, look, the next one. This has got to be. It's a tough one because everyone's got different taste, you know, and expectations. But Coffin Bay National Park has to be probably one of my better national parks, sort of on the coast. It's a smallish national park, Coffin Bay, and the views are just incredible. Put Sophie to dog sit at the time. Yeah, dog sit at the time. That's right. We put her in the dog sitter. And I think you got to pay for a national park pass for Coffin Bay. And we went in and spent the day, and
And many animals. Like we saw emus, we saw kangaroos.
When you come over and you just see these cliffs, and I always say that sort of South Australia feels like it's the start of that, the Bunda Cliffs and that, because the cliffs are just sheer drops and it's just great water. That is one of my top favourite national parks.
I will challenge your national park with one of my favourite national parks. So one of my favourite national parks is Litchfield National Park in Northern Territory. So again, Litchfield...
There was a croc there.
Recently there was a croc there. There are crocs everywhere. Okay. So when we were there hadn't been any croc sightings for a while. And I think we were still a little bit naive. It was our first trip up to NT. And yeah, we got to the park really early in the morning. The first stop we were at was this beautiful waterfall with a beautiful swimming hole. Had it all to ourselves. Swam out. Definitely a crocky feeling. So
that was where the croc attacked that guy. It's
per park and lots of swimming opportunities, which makes Sue a really happy girl. And yeah, I just thought that
Litchfield
was really beautiful.
Good. It's nice. Like I'd say I'd prefer Litchfield over Kakadu. We didn't really get to experience Kakadu because there was a big bushfire coming through and we had to leave. So,
but if I can just tag on to that, when we did go to Kakadu, we went to Cahill's Crossing.
Oh.
It is one of the most incredible things I have ever seen in nature. Yeah. Literally on the tide, the water runs over a little crossing, and all these crocs essentially know that the fish jump over this crossing. And all the crocs line up in this like semicircle or this half moon and essentially wait for the fish to come over. The most incredible thing I saw was, number one, the number of crocs. I mean, there must have been how many crocs that you could see?
I think it was like 60.
60 crocs you could see. They were sitting in groups of like 2, 3, 4. And as one would catch a fish, they would drop back, and then a croc from behind would swim up into their spot. Like, incredibly intelligent.
It's just the way they work. It's just it's beautiful to see nature work like we do almost. Like they talk to each other. You know,
incredibly intelligent. A bit frightening. Also, looking at the number of crocs that were there, thinking the number of crocs that are there in total was a bit frightening.
Yeah.
I've totally derailed it because the next one's mine too.
Okay.
You can talk about it.
No. Yeah, because this was an incredible experience. Okay, so next one. This one's in WA. So Wave Rock. Now Wave Rock itself was amazing. That you could walk up and you understand how the water supply works around the area.
And the colours in the rock were just incredible.
It is amazing to see. But what actually stood out for me was the salt pool across the road. So they got this big round sort of salt pool that they've sort of been building over time, and it's got little toilets, showers, you can wash the salt water off. But this was, now, you stay at Wave Rock, you get access to the salt pool, and you get access to the Wave Rock itself. So the caravan park, you allowed dogs because we were allowed to have Bobby there. But when you walk, you couldn't take Bob to the Wave Rock. But from our campsite was a really short walk, and you get access to that once. I believe if you want to go back again, you've got to pay, and the ranger does check. I don't know how that works when you stay in the caravan park, but we just tried to do the right thing. We went at sunset, and we walked up the rock, and we saw the water and how they built the rock wall around it and feeds. But you get access to the salt pool, which is across the road. You can walk it. I think it's about 4 k's. We drove it. There's parking there, and I gotta say, when I was floating in this thing, this has to be an amazing experience because
that's because you can't float.
I can't float, number one, but you can't sink. I was on my back, I was on my belly, I was standing up, and it's quite deep. I couldn't touch the ground on in this pool, and it's a fair size with a little island in the middle, and you can sort of swim all the way around it if you really wanted to. And then when you're done, there's showers that you can wash it. You've got to wash the salt off. It dries your skin up. Like I couldn't stay in there for too long. And if it goes up your nose, I did do a little diving, and the water just goes straight up your nose, and the salt. But
it's like eating wasabi.
Yeah,
You're making my cheeks hurt.
But I've got to say it has to be up there. One of my favourite. I know the OTT I said was my favourite. This is a different type of experience and was absolutely amazing. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's the incredible thing about if you are lucky enough to travel around Australia, so many different types of experiences, and they're all like fantastic but in different ways.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, just being out there and there's a salt pool that you can float in, and the people that we travelled with, they even said it was when They travelled with us for 10 weeks, I think it was around about that time, and when we did that, it was like one of their favourite experiences they've done on their trip. So there you go. So it is a really hot one. So I would say if you, travelling sort of, it's up inland from sort of Esperance and Albany, I think it was like that, somehow go and do it. It's pretty awesome, pretty amazing.
Yeah. Something that really sticks out for me, again, it's going to involve water and it's going to involve beaches because I'm absolutely addicted. But
you don't say.
We did that drive outside of Esperance. I think it was it 17 or 27 kilometres?
Oh, it was just that loop road outside of Esperance. Yeah. They've got all those beautiful beaches.
And it takes you past the most incredible beaches. And we did a number of them, but one that we stopped off for a swim was Twilight Beach. And I know that Twilight Beach is really well known, but it is just the most incredible beach in terms of the white sand and the water. I've never seen water clarity like that in my life. You wouldn't have known you were in water unless you felt wet because it was that clear. And the fact that there had been a hammerhead, the alarm had gone off, everyone had
just
been
before,
cleared out just before we got there. Swimming there, just spectacular.
You can swim out to the big rock in the middle. Yeah, man, it was a tad bit cold for me, so I didn't swim, but I went in up to my, wet my legs. Got gotta agree with Sue. Whew, wow. I keep saying this is like one of my best experiences, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. This place made my hair stand up on my back. And that is the Nullarbor, the Bunda Cliffs. Because, like I said, you've seen it, you've heard about it, you're crossing, you pull up, and the sheer drop of, I don't know how hard it is. Like, we all thought it was, I don't know.
There were lots of estimates.
They were sitting around, there was a lot of estimates. If you get it on a good day's weather, we got one on a good day. The sun, I mean, the wind blew up at about midnight, which is standard, but we had the afternoon. The evening was spectacular. The sunset, the whole experience. The friends we were there, we made ribs and stuff. Just made the whole experience amazing. So if you're going across the Nullarbor and the weather, if you jump on the weather, if the weather's good, stop for a night, because the views are just incredible.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And then jointly, the last one for us that really sticks out is the trip we had over to Kangaroo Island. I think just such a superb experience because of the time we got to spend there, and again, just all the different experiences that you're offered on Kangaroo Island. There are beautiful beaches. The campsite was really good.
Water's terribly cold.
The water's terribly cold. We got to fish. We got to go to a brewery. We got to go to a coffee shop, a winery. It is just a small island with an abundance of experiences, and it's absolutely beautiful. I think they say it's the most expensive ferry in Australia.
Yeah, look, it is a bit dear to get across, and
so you want to make sure you spend enough time.
Some of our friends didn't do it in a van. They just took their car over and swagged it, or stayed in an Airbnb along with some other people. That's another way you can most probably think about doing. And the national park on Kangaroo Island is also pretty impressive. Bigger than the the Coffin Bay one that we went to. It is quite another day trip for us.
Absolutely, a day trip.
Friends of ours looked after Sophie for us while we popped in to that national park with, well, what are those rocks called again? The Remarkables. Just in another amazing part of the country, really, Kangaroo Island. Really, really enjoyed it.
And incredible to see how that rock has changed over time. So they've got a photo from, like, I don't know, it was multiple decades ago versus now, and see how the rocks have withered away. Just an incredible experience. But I think, what this highlights is that there are so many different types of experiences in and around Australia on your trip. There are so many remarkable things to see, other than Remarkable Rock, which is obviously one of them. It's just up to having the opportunity to do it, and taking the time to venture out and explore.
And we can't wait to explore more. We're currently doing stuff we've never done before, and I'm looking forward to what's further down the road. And also next year we're going to another island, and we've never been before, so pretty excited about that. And then there's other areas around the country next year that we're going to be going to, that we're going to be targeting, that we haven't been to. So
even in areas that we have been to, there are things that we haven't seen. So you go back a second time, there is no way you can see everything that's in Australia. But we hope that this has brought you some information around what we've really enjoyed seeing, and potentially something to add to your list when you hit the road. And if you're already on the road, make sure you stop in and have a look. And we'd love to hear from you what your favourite experiences have been, because that helps us with our wish list to add to.
Yeah, let us know what else is there around to look at, because if we're going through, we can look at it. So pop in and see it, and maybe it'd be an experience for us as well. So guys, from myself and Sue, Mr. Bob's outside. He's not happy. He's got himself tangled up on a lead, because he's back on a lead. We thank you very much for your support. If you haven't yet, hit the like and subscribe button down below. That really helps us a lot. But from us, guys, enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll see you in the next episode. Ta-da!
Bye!